Joe, David Shuster, nice to meet you.
Joe.
Jeff, great to see you.
Please have a seat.
Bob, how are you?
Another camera, please.
Doctor.
Employers, academics, government policymakers. This is their unbiased discussion on America's employment crisis.
Welcome to our discussion about the future of the American workforce. Communities across the United States are facing some monumental challenges relating to the growing skills gap. Our aim is to identify possible solutions. We begin with these two stories.
500,000 open jobs with no one qualified to fill them.
It's called the skills gap. How could that be, we wonder, at a time like this with so many people out of work?
More than half of U.S. employers are having trouble finding people to fill open positions.
Is our education system teaching students the right skills to match the needs of employers?
I think you are onto something because there is a giant skills gap.
The American system of secondary education and adult training is clearly inadequate in the new global environment.
I was in banking as senior vice president, making me six figures. I was very comfortable. Then the last bank I was at was acquired, went off on my own and started to organize banks kind of at the perfect wrong time in a perfect storm, and kind of everything fell apart from that.
I started off as an associate consultant at Manhattan Associates. Before I was actually laid off from there, I was there for almost a year. I walk out of the unemployment office in tears, and I was just like, I can't afford anything. I feel like a joke. I feel like an absolute liar, an absolute failure, and I feel like that I had gotten it wrong. I wonder if there's some field or something that like has the intersection of technology and sociology and business all at the exact same time. Is that a thing that I could actually do? I was like, I think I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to study this human-computer interaction design thing. I think it's going to be really important in 5 years. I wanted to be recession-proof. I wanted to be future-proof. I wanted to get out ahead of my current skill set and prepare myself for a future that was 10 years or 5 years down the line, so that I wouldn't have what happened during the recession happen again. I got linked up with a startup out here in Santa Monica called Tradesy. I'm a lead experience designer. I work with a small team of people. I drive a lot of strategy, design direction, and also figure out how it connects to operations as well. So I'm using all my skill sets all at once.
I had always in the back of my mind thought about teaching. My mom was a teacher, my grandmother was a teacher, my sister's a teacher, so I kind of thought, well, maybe this is my signal to make that transition. Pretty much I've been on my own for 2 years, trying to make by on substitute teaching income, trying to make by on any tutoring income I can get on the side. In substitute teaching, you're looking at $85 to $100 a day, depending if you get called into work that day. And usually it's last minute. You may get a phone call at 5:30 in the morning. For me, best case, if I'm working almost every day, I can make $12,000.
Is our education system teaching students the right skills to match the needs of employers?
State education leaders are looking for different ways to tackle a growing problem.
I'm insulted if somebody says, John, you're just lazy. You're just not trying. You just don't care. I'm like, I care. I care more than anybody. You just don't want to admit that you're that defeated. You've been brought up never to be a charity case, never to have to ask for help, and all of a sudden you're in that position where you got nowhere else to go.
So tough stuff. with John, success story with Michael. What do you make of their predicaments? And what about somebody like John, who worked at a bank, made six figures, and now he goes and gets a degree in education, and he's stuck, if he's lucky, making $12,000 a year?
John made an error that you see not only with mid-career change of like his, but also with people entering the workforce for the first time, that they pursued an interest. I've always been interested in education. He didn't understand the economic consequences of that choice.
It's a fine balance between the two of being progressive and seeing what's lying ahead, but also finding your passion within some of those.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want anybody to think that you can't have a job that's interesting and not get paid.
There's two things I've seen. Is one, people think that the ultimate shelter is get a college degree in something else.
Right.
That's the ultimate shelter.
Yeah.
And the ultimate shelter is go to some place they think is stable and not changing. That's the problem. So what's in the new world of work? It's flatter hierarchies, right? It's flatter, more open, and flexible structures. You have to be deep in something, but you've also got to be broad, and it's that skill set which is transforming the
It's not
skills.
intimidating at all. Be better than everyone in the world and be a nice person.
If you've got that flat hierarchy, you've got to be competent to self-direct, to problem solve on your own, to diagnose a problem on your own.
To interact well with your colleagues.
So I think that's the key. We may not know what the jobs are in 10 years, but you know what that set of skills.
But you know how the world of work is changing.
I think Michael was like the poster child for what everybody needs to get a job now and in the future. Problem solving, critical thinking, all integrated, comes together. Doesn't matter what I'm going to do, those things make a difference.
I want to have the skills for 5 years out. I want to be sort of recession proof in the future and sort of thinking about like what is that industry I can go into.
But the other thing he did, which I thought was really interesting, was he talked about trying to find something that also connected like sociology and working with people and this whole sort of human-centered work. No matter what job he goes into, somebody's going to want somebody who knows how to work from the person perspective. And the hardest part we're finding is that students are majoring in 2 and 3 majors and have 2 and 3 minors. And they are creating these programs that seem to make them think that that's going to ensure their opportunity to get a job, when in fact what they need is experience to be able to demonstrate what they can do. Right. They need a set of skills to negotiate with other people, and they need a network. And colleges aren't doing that, let alone high schools. When are we finally going to say that learning actually happens when you do something?
And given that the education system is not providing perhaps the necessary skills right now, how much is the chamber, for example, talking about the responsibility that businesses have to try and fix this?
Instead of trying to fix the education system or fix the training systems, fix the supply side, how do we think about helping employers be more sophisticated in those partnerships to really say, like, these are the competencies, these are the credentials, these are the requirements that we're looking for. So really trying to encourage and sort of arm and equip employers to play a much more active and important, sophisticated role.
I think those standards can also be set not just by government entities, but by the employers themselves, along with the education organizations.
I think they have to be set by the employers, and the employers have to invest time and effort in getting a more coherent and common set of standards.
Just building off these themes, it's employers taking a leadership role. In defining and building their own talent pipelines with providers who are very responsive to those employers, and then giving the signals to the students how to pursue those pathways so that people can actually know what's going on right now in terms of the workplace.
The other part of that is this stigma out there that, hey, in order for me to be successful, I need a 4-year degree. Right. What we've been doing is we've been sponsoring bus tours of high school students to our campuses, bring them in to introduce them to STEM education.
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
Exactly. We talk to these individuals every day throughout a school year, and we ask them, why do you go to college? Well, to get a job. Are there jobs out there? No. They feel like there's no jobs out there. And then we help them understand, yes, there are jobs out there. There's lots of opportunities. You need to just think outside the box. So we would say, like, who in here likes to play video games? Right. And everybody raises their hand. I like playing video games. Okay, well, what are you doing while you're playing video games? Well, I'm problem solving. I'm working with computers. I'm, having fun.
I'm probably working with somebody else who's on the other end of the computer playing the game with me. That's the other thing I'm doing.
And I say, well, automotive, diesel, motorcycle, marine technicians, they use the scientific method every single day. Kids are coming out after just under a year and can start out in a job paying $40,000 a year at 19, 20 years old. field. We have to overcome this stigma that there is dignity to work.
If I can pick up on that, just on the deep expertise area, is that we're in a race in a sense. So if you're doing routine anything, routine accounting, routine automotive, anything, they got to have the alarm bell go off and say, danger, danger,
Isn't
danger.
there a danger, though, to following your passions? Because student loans that kids will rack up, or in the case of John, he was following his passion by going into education and getting a graduate degree without...
Passion is... Sorry, I just totally interrupted you.
I think that was part of the rules here.
Passion coupled with information.
Yeah. It's not an either or, it's a both
don't.
and. You know, one of the things that happened to my husband, who a year ago was laid off, everybody wanted him to be a coder. And he had a PhD in computer science, and he actually went to the unemployment office. The people at that office actually sat him down and did a network map. And they went back through his career, and they started to do these rings of who do you know and who do you talk to, and how do you actually create a plan? Somebody needs to sit down with John and say, okay, let's revisit and restructure.
I don't care what field you're in, specialized, high-end, deep expertise in a certain area will win.
Another way to describe what you're saying, Bob, is a demonstrated expertise that allows a capacity to continue to learn and grow as the job changes.
What actually matters for that next level of job is the computational thinking, the algorithmic thinking that goes, it's not the coding. A computer can take your blood, frankly, but the nurse has to be able to say, okay, wait a second, what did you eat last? And what, they have to actually understand and talk to you.
Yeah, there's an underlying theme to all of this. There is opportunities out there, and it's about networking and understanding what those opportunities are. I think there is a bright future to this economy. Go find out what you want to do, where you want to work.
And where to
Ask
go.
them. Where are they hiring from? What school are they hiring from?
They're all
Then
targeting.
go to that school.
It's like, even though the playbook in the 1970s no longer works anymore, there is a new playbook.
There is a new playbook.
And people who take advantage of that new playbook will be able to adjust fine.
Well, and that's what I have to say, I'm sitting here, I have a 15-year-old son who is starting to talk about college, and I feel like I want to take this entire conversation back and say, okay, so here's what we're going to do. Rethink the strategy.
And a new aunt, and they're coming for dinner.
That's right, and all of them are coming to set you up for your future. That's what I learned.
Well, I have to say one of the things that I've learned is in doing this is that there is awareness in the business community, at educational systems, among manufacturers and academia, that there is a problem that's coming, and it's coming very quickly. And it almost underscores that there is no sort of central solution. The idea of a federal government being able to sweep in and solve it is, forget about that. It's local communities, regional economies working together and collaborating. And there are a lot of people out there that are trying
very hard.
And the message is, don't wait for somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
Do it yourselves.
do it.
You have all the resources you have in your region to make it happen, but you got to take the effort yourself to get it done.
Jeff and Bob and Cheryl and Joe and Lisa, terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.